The Shinobi Alliance was one of the first big armies of anime history and one of the most memorable of all of them. But what if they were to replace the man that sold them all with a more malevolent force? And how would he fare against the Shinobi Alliance? Hey everyone, this is Mr. Crafting. Today we're going over what if Sukuna was in the Shinobi Alliance. By that, what if we just replace Madara and just put Sukuna in his position when fighting the Shinobi Alliance. I've actually had this idea for a video for a little bit now. I'm actually finally happy to actually see it in fruition. So I'm actually, it's really exciting for me. I thought it was an interesting topic since they're both really likable villains, not in their own series, but people will take a kin to these villains, and I felt it'd be cool to just swap the positions real quick. That's something to go over. I am not including Gaara, Naruto, or any of the other more heavy hitters. I'm just trying to include the Shinobi Alliance as of a general, them fighting Madara. Now, I know there's around 80,000 of these people all together, and I just want to just go over what would happen. And of course, I've already gone over Jujutsu Kaisen quite a few times on this, so I might as well go over the Shinobi Alliance first to get the harder ones out of the way first. So, I've never really gone over the Shinobi Alliance. To be honest, I don't think anyone has ever actually gotten an in-depth look on the Shinobi Alliance as of in general. So, it was really hard to, get a pinpoint on them. The Shinobi Alliance are technically supposed to be one of the best ninja around, but that's the thing. They're the best ninja around that aren't the main characters, because they're just fodder, no-name people with literally no way to turn the power. They're just moderate chow, right? So it's kind of hard to get an exact measurement on the average Shinobi, but I think I did find a way. So when I need to start with this speed, now it's hard to get an exact way to do it, but I think the easiest way to do it is to compare all the Shinobi in the Shinobi Alliance to part 1 Kakashi. Now hear me out. Now it would be kind of weird for the Kage to send out Genin or Chunin to Madara, Uchiha, of all people, send those random asses to go fight Madara, Uchiha. So I think sending Jonin would be the most logical group of people to send out to Madara. Now, if we go back to just part 1 Kakashi and just assume those Shinobi were just as fast as the part 1 beginning of series Kakashi, which I think is very reasonable because at the time, Kakashi wasn't that big of a deal to be worth all too much, then if we just assume all the Shinobi in the Shinobi Alliance was just comparable in speed to beginning of series part 1 Kakashi, then all the Alliance would be around FTL. And that's because part 1 Kakashi could dodge Itachi's Water Fang bullet, which is just stated to reflect at the speed of light, and Kakashi dodged in such a manner that put him around 4.85 times the speed of light. I'll be filling a calc on screen right now so you can read it. And so that's just speed. So actually FTL for all the Alliance members, right? Now for AP, this one actually comes back to Naruto the Last. Now, they were actually just going to destroy the moon, now, because the moon was going to destroy the earth. Now, the matter they were going to destroy the moon, I'm not lying. These same fodder, no-name ninja, right, were going to pour all of their chakra into this cannon and obliterate the moon on some Dragon Ball Z level shit. Now with that, so yeah, these fodder would have to have some sort of power into destroying the moon. Now if we actually calculate how much Shinobi were there individually from what we see on screen, there are 16 rows and 7 Shinobi each row. So that's 112, because 16 times 7 is 112. So if we take the moon's amount of joules, how much energy it would take to just destroy the moon, and then divide it by 112, then every Jonin level Shinobi would be able to outpoint 0.10 times 10 to the 28 joules of energy, which is high in multi-continental. Yeah, these random fodder Shinobi could pull up to My Hero Academia and probably pack most of the verse. Now, in conclusion, each of these members of the Shinobi Alliance would be around, in terms of AP, around multi-continental, in terms of speed, around FTL. So with that out of the way, we're moving on to Sukuna. And also, I'll be going over, and if you want to know their abilities, they just have the random beginning level, since not really too many people have too much good chakra techniques, more like the fire, earth, wind, thunder. You get that. Now anyway, sorry, you just had to clear that up. They don't really have anything too special. Now moving on to Sukuna. Now, I've gone over Jujutsu Kaisen a lot on my channel, but I never truly went in depth in a versus battle standpoint. That's because I never really needed to go all out for these characters. With the stakes way higher, I do need to start off a lot stronger. Now, I've already made a short talking about Sukuna AP where you can potentially scale him to planetary. I do recommend you check that out, but there's a lot more to add to this meta, and I would rather go over it again. So basically, it was stated on the back of every Jujutsu Kaisen manga volume, so over 21 times, that Sukuna's body parts alone have the power to destroy the world. Now, this can't be interpreted as society or even humanity, because in the manga they already make clear distinctions. When they talk about society, they actually call it society, actually human society, but when they call humanity, they refer to humanity. The only time they refer to the world is in the context of a planet. Now, if they have yet to change this as well, so that brings more consistency to it. Now, this would not just, this alone wouldn't make him planetary, because you can argue it may be a outlier, but it's actually very consistent with high grade special grades to have this planetary feats or lore, with even Kenjaku using his body as a domain to tank Yuki's black hole, which is just stated to be able to destroy the world, as well as Tengen for one being able to physically suppress that same black hole. And after he achieved his evolution, he actually fused with the world and became one with it. Hell, he was even stated on multiple occasions that he can even destroy or threaten humanity. Even Gojo was able to affect the world just by his birth. By the way, Sukuna is comparable to Gojo. Even Gojo himself notes that a fight between them would be hard, even he when he's a cocky person, so that says a lot. And you know, Gojo is the strongest person in the entire verse. Even Kenjaku states that at the time Sukuna was the strongest sorcerer, including himself and Tengen. So with all of this, Sukuna should be at least bare minimum planetary. And for speed, it's actually a lot easier. I literally just made a video talking about the speed, so I will not be going over all the metas because I'm kind of burnt out talking about the speed, and so it's a whole nother topic. But basically, all you have to know is that I at least get Jogo to around at least 1 times the speed of light, right? Now, that's very important because he was comparable to 9 of Sukuna's fingers, and just so you know, 1 amp difference is a 420 million times amp. So if we just use that as the base standpoint, if we're just using 15 fingers Sukuna, then that means he would be 2,520,000,000 times faster than Jogo, or 2,520,000,000 times the speed of light. And that would be all for Sukuna's scaling. Now we have to move over to this conclusion. So going over both parties' stats, Sukuna is taking a big advantage in terms of AP and speed, but that was expected because he was playing up against an army who would have had some sort of advantage. Now, the best way to compare this outcome is to compare Sukuna to Madara. Now, Madara, you can pretty confidently get him into the planetary ranges as well, although I don't really want to go over why, because that's not the video, and I assume most of you guys will have contentions with that. If you truly have contentions with that, then that just makes it worse for the Shinobi Alliance. If you just say Madara is around multi-continental, then that means the Shinobi Alliance can't even beat someone on their level. So in terms of AP and speed, I would say Sukuna scales relative, just with this scale alone, he would scale relative to Madara in a sense of, wow, he was just way faster. Like, Sukuna's potentially thousands, hundreds of thousands, not a few million times faster than everyone. In terms of AP, just the difference between multi-continental and planetary is a 100,000 times difference. Now, I would say in terms of AP and speed, he's just gonna probably outclass them all again in the Madara standpoint, but even so, I do truly think that he would actually beat them a lot better than Madara, just because what Sukuna is. His mindset is just to kill, and he does not care. He's more of a ruthless person than Madara. He would probably use, in his wide range of abilities are just mentally just meant to just cut you down, or he will just start chopping up people left and right. And he has amazing range, especially with his domain expansion, which, remind you, is a guaranteed hit that attacks both non-curse spirit and also curse spirit energy people, so they're all acceptable to this. And the range is 200 meters, so meaning he would just probably turn on domain expansion and then just completely just throttle most of them. Remind you, there's around 80,000 of these members, right? And with this, just the strength advantage, he could fight all 80,000 of them and then still fight an extra 20,000. He'd be so much stronger and faster, not to mention he can actually directly cut your soul and just attack your soul. So even if one of these guys somehow survive or maybe tank an attack, their soul will not tank it, because most characters in Naruto, especially fodder no names like the Shinobi Alliance, have no soul resistances. So this is really not a really fair matchup. I thought it'd be kind of cool to see how comparable to him and Madara. I'm pretty sure he would actually beat them a lot better just because of how Sukuna is as a character and his, just abilities just to kind of dice everyone up. The guaranteed hit of the domain expansion is really going to be hard for anyone to get across. He'd probably just, in character, use domain and just start clearing out a bunch of people. He did the same thing to the finger bearer, which was a no name to him. So there's no reason why he wouldn't want to get rid of a few flies in his way for the next dish. Anyway, that'd be all for this video. I think he did really good. Tell me what you guys like if you want to see more of this. I do have more plans for Sukuna, measuring up to a few more Naruto characters before the scaling takes too far and Sukuna gets left behind. Or maybe just in general. I have a lot more versus videos coming up, more on the topic of a character fighting an entire verse, but you'll see those when they come. And again, I just want to take the moment to thank you all for getting me to over 1K. And I'll have my 1K special announced very soon. It's actually going to be really good, so take a while for it to come out. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and join the Discord and link description below. And that'll be all. Mr. Crafty, out.